Okay, people, so now it is November 29th, 2021 here. So, before I start my day, okay, I've been thinking about this, okay? And I have to clear out some hard disk space on this computer before I can even upload this, right? So, who knows, this might not get up for a day or two because I have to get into these cranberries today, people. I have to. I have a whole box. I'm going to record it, okay, in memory of Pastor Granny, okay? You know, the cranberries are really high in antioxidants, just the whole 9 yards. So, you know, it will be just another one of those, I guess it's kind of like a fruit, right? Incorporated into Amari's diet, right? You know, being that, you know, I'm always under scrutiny. I'm expected to create that Amazon, you know, to correct the wrongs that basically the healthcare system perpetrated upon my grandson. Okay, that's the thing, people. Amari deserves private care. Okay, he really does, because by him being injured, and this is all stems with my fears. Okay, because I'm gonna name this video, I guess, my fears, my personal fears. Like, what am I afraid of the most? Right? Am I afraid of death? No, not so much, because poof, you're gone. Nothing moves except you, and everything else stays behind. I know that all the food that I did will stay behind, and I don't have to worry about my kids going hungry. I know that I have a little bit of a life insurance policy that's in good standing at this point, so that they'll be able to cover the rent and the hydro and those kind of things or whatever, in order to be able to look after Amari and Andre without the house being disrupted immediately, unlike when they medically kidnapped Uncle John and basically bankrupted this house the minute they fucking did it, okay? But you see, I had already been bankrupt by the government so many times that, you know, when it came with the blow of Uncle John, well, yeah, I just went through it, people. I just went through it, okay? You know, what are you going to do, right? A lot of people would have went fucking bonkers. In fact, a lot of people do. So, you know, what am I afraid of? Because that's why I'm talking right now. When I'm doing the cranberries, I'm just going to focus basically on, I guess you could say, cranberries. Right? And the you know, I'm making that sweet potato powder, okay? Right? And the vegetable nutrient goulash of another item that I'm going to start collecting are washed eggshells, okay? And as my eggshells are accumulating, I'm going to smash them all up, and I'm going to grind them all up, and I'm going to mix them in with my vegetable powder, my vegetable peels and that kind of stuff, powder, that I'm going to use specifically for growing plants with, okay? Because then you get the calcium into the mixture, right? A natural calcium through the eggshells. I'm just saying, right? I suppose if you wanted to start beating on some bones, you could do that too, smash them up and mix them in there as well. That would suffice, right? You'd have to dry them out a little bit first. Like, you know, pork chop bones, chicken bones, that kind of thing. It's a little harder to smash a beef bone, but the smaller bones, you could definitely take a hammer to them, you know, and just, and then mix that into your plant nutrient mix. Okay? Because the way the economy is going, and just with the number of individuals that purport themselves to be of human descent, you know, but clearly are hiding behind a cloak of something, and act on pure evil with evil intentions and malicious and harmful and hateful intentions that literally destroy families and individuals, young and old and in between, right? You know, like, that's the reality of life, people, in terms of where we are today. Okay? I mean, obviously, not all of us are targeted like my family. But you see, after my family is gone, they're just going to move on to another family. And they've opened up the gene pool of being able to target more, as they do with what they've been doing, people. And my family is the perfect example of what they've been doing for a long time. But now they've ramped it up to a whole new freaking level with their cloaks of, well, we're just here to try and help you, right? You know, we're the professional, right? We're the one with all the resources and all the money, right? You have to bow down and kiss our feet because we said so. You know, I mean, we're really in that realm of a draconian dictatorship, okay? So I took charge of my situation in terms of doing the food storage, okay? I mean, there is only so many hours in a day, people, okay? And I do the best that I basically can, okay, as an individual, by myself. Because my son doesn't help me with any of this stuff. Now, he did help to put up, we rigged a kind of a makeshift gutter of some metal sheeting that I got from when I had the little house. And I salvaged that sheeting, and we used it yesterday. Well, my son did it for me. I just held it up. And he ran that sheeting, he bent it, and he ran it. And from what we could tell, it was capturing the water, and it was going like this, and going off the edge of the... So hopefully... Oh, please, I'm so crossing my fingers. Hopefully, I mean, if he has to, he can put another little piece of sheet up there, which would be fine. But hopefully, it's going to prevent the water from accumulating in my garage. And now that that's stopped, I can clean everything out, spray everything down, and start fresh with a good disposition. Okay? Maybe I should do this video, upload this video first, keep it short, right? In terms of, you don't need to incorporate 45 minutes of cranberries, okay? We'll just go on to cranberries maybe with a new video. We'll just put this video as what I fear most, okay? In terms of everything that I've already had to face with my family, basically since the BC Liberal government came into power in the year 2000. Just as I was founding a foundation, right? Thinking that I was going to be making a positive difference in the province of British Columbia, Canada, to only find out that I was played like a punk bitch. Basically, I was literally played like a punk bitch. I can't say it any other way, people. I invested well over $40,000, $50,000 over the last 21 years into a foundation that absolutely means nothing to these cloaked individuals that stand there and say, let me help you. We're here to represent you. When in fact, it is the complete opposite after 21 years of learning my lesson. Not only did I throw away $50,000 down the drain, but I worked myself to death trying to promote goodwill in the community when in all actuality, there was no goodwill to be found because the people that run this province, the people that are employed by the province, the majority, I wouldn't say all of them, but the majority of them have absolutely no intention of letting the people prosper. 21 years later, there's a whole lot more people like me today than there was 21 years ago. Lots of people are falling off the fucking grid here, okay? In terms of that middle class, the working poor, and the poorest of the poor, okay? So I know I'm not alone, but that doesn't mean that I don't struggle with fear, because I do, people. Let's stay on the subject here, okay? My biggest fear is knowing what I know, knowing what's happened to my family, and knowing where it's leading to, as in where I'm at today, with whatever family I've been left with, okay? Because my family members have been robbed from the family. Uncle John was robbed. Sierra was robbed. ShaMay was robbed. Amari is my biggest fear, people, because I know, I can feel it into the depths of my bones that Amari was injured at birth, okay? And I can prove it, right? I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to prove it because there's too many people trying to cover it up. But at the end of the day, people, he was injured at birth. Okay, with the intentions of moving him along into a provincial program that was established in 2016 as a research study. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? When it comes to this hip surveillance program. Well, you know, we're trying to prevent pain, so before we cut him open when he's 9, 15, 20 years old, we want to cut him open when he's 5. Uh-huh. And make him sit like this pretty much for almost a year, assuming that there is no problems. We don't care if he gets back problems from that, because we know when Uncle John was like that for 2 years, what ended up for Uncle John? A whole lot of freaking back problems for his whole freaking life, people. They're not addressing the fact that they're going to be bringing in other fucking areas of pain, trying to prevent pain on an assumption that he's going to get pain. And because he's on that program, people, okay? This is my fear. Because he was born into that program, people. The minute he was born, they knew what was wrong with him. Okay? But they covered it up. And then they ignored it for 7 months until finally there was no way to ignore the fact that he wasn't blossoming, like in terms of those milestones. It was beyond being a late bloomer. He wasn't even a late bloomer, people, because he was damaged in the brain due to lack of oxygen because of a 5-day period of when ShaMay was in labor. 2 of those times within that 5 days, she was turned away. We know that. So because of that, that tells me that in 2016, they set up a provincial program and they needed the kids in order to fill the slots so they could follow through on their research study for their stakeholders. Whether foreign, in some other fucking country, or whether it's some investor in Canada, like maybe Jimmy Patterson or something like that, you know, trying to promote the children's hospital, right? You know, some big rich wig out here that wants to put his name to a research study that proves to be effective, even though the kids that are being researched on were injured at the time of the birth, and everybody around them is ignoring that fact. And not only do they ignore the fact, but they make it hard on me, people. They make it hard on me to follow up for justice for Amari so that he can break away from, I guess you could say, public care and get private care where people actually pay attention that he's happy. He's happy, people. But the people I come into contact want to always fucking restrain him. Like he's in that fucking monkey tube so they can prove something. Prove something to themselves. Prove something to the government so they can follow through on their research study. Basically. It's true. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I fucking see it. That's the way shit has unfolded all these years. They didn't care if ShaMay was murdered because as far as they were concerned, people, she was a witness, an intelligent, high IQ witness that was there when Uncle John was medically kidnapped. They didn't want her to be around to be a witness to that fact. So when she got murdered, but don't forget, I had a dream a year before it happened, a year and a half or whatever it was, 2016. She was murdered in freaking April of 2018. So, you know, whoever was, well, we know who murdered her. We know how it happened. They were plotting in 2016, right? And the government fucking capitalized off it with their freaking goons. Because once they got the dead body, that was it. It was pillaged, people. And her organs and teeth and God knows what else they did to her body was sold on the black market. I have to wait until what? September 19th of 2022 before I can go in front of a judge, with or without a lawyer, and say, here, look for yourself. But would I ever get to that point, people? Hell no. I'm being fucking hounded all the time. Hounded. Oh, he's not getting enough food. You need to feed him and overstuff him and make it so that he can puke. No, they don't say that. They don't care if you fucking overfeed him and he fucking pukes as long as you overfeed him. Not acknowledging that he's growing, he's healthy, and he's happy. He's communicative, he's interactive, he's explorative. Again, everything more than what you expected to get after you learn what happened to him. If they're so much so professionals, why don't they find out what really happened to him, people? Why don't they acknowledge what really happened to him, people? Why don't they make inquiries as to what really happened to him? How is it that I can have all these fucking people around me, this group, everybody saying do this, and do that, and if you don't fucking do it, there's something wrong with you. Obviously can't do it good enough because we're looking for a fucking Amazon, and if you don't produce a fucking Amazon, sooner or later it's just a matter of time before we pull out the fucking rug from underneath your feet, because at the end of the day, he was always signed up for their program. Do you understand? At the end of the day, people, at the end of the day, he was always signed up to their research study. Removing ShaMay from that fact covers their fucking bases, because she's not here as a witness as to how she was treated before he was even born. Just like she can't be a witness for Uncle John. And we're not even going to touch base on Sierra. You know, I don't have a fucking life. I really don't, people. I live a miserable fucking life because of all these so-called fucking professionals trying to do a good fucking job. When in fact, all they do is just spit out, do this, and this. That's it. Without factoring in anything, because they don't have to walk the talk, they just talk. Well, we got our government. Ding, 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 there's the fear, people. Coming in with their, oh, when I get time, I got a video to make. Oh, yeah, I do. With somebody that looks like Joan Duncan, all dried up like an old fucking prune. Up on the podium, talking about, well, you better make the right decision, because if you don't make the right decision when it comes to our inoculation, if you don't, well, you know, we gotta just work on it and, you know, and get you a little more fucking cornered. How do they got me cornered, people? They got me cornered with Amari. Because they use Amari as a means to intercept, interject, distract, and to attack. So that they're never held to account for all the fucking misery that they create for families in general. Period. Period, people. As a public union sector under the governance of corrupt governments that clearly play favoritism and discriminate against innocent people, innocent elderly, innocent young people, innocent teenagers, innocent families. Don't say I'm lying, because it's true. We all can see it. They just took it to a new whole height, that's all. Right? So, my biggest fear is they're going to cut into Amari sooner or later. Because that was always their plan. That was always their plan. And what did that so-called, quote-unquote, Britain social worker have to say when she was telling us that Uncle John was going into long-term, rehabilitation fucking center of some kind by any means necessary? There was absolutely no way he was coming home because that bitch knew that they were plotting and scheming to steal his money as they illegally drugged him and kept him doped up so that they could fucking transfer his mail illegally so that they could do it? This is what we're dealing with! You think that was just an isolated incident? No, it followed ShaMay. It followed ShaMay at the time of her birth with Amari, and it followed ShaMay at the time of her death when they pillaged her body, and then they went after Sierra. And they're running me ragged with Amari, always making me feel like I'm some inadequate piece of fucking shit. As they put themselves up on a fucking pedestal, as if they do the fucking talk. My son says to me, and I'll give you an example on this one. When the big rains came, and everything was just washed out, and we found out that we were having some issues with produce out here, and just da-dee-dee-da, right? And I said, don't worry, son, I got it mapped out. I've been working hard on this stuff, okay? So, you know, we're good. I could feed us for a long time. And you know what he said? Asinine. Well, you know, because I said, not everybody's like you, right? Where, you know, you make good money and you can go and pay the increase in the grocery store in terms of inflation and all this other crap. Where I don't even have to go to a grocery store, people, if I don't want to. Literally. I'm not kidding. Okay? So I'm not having to face hyperinflation, inflation, and all this other shit. Never mind trying to get to the grocery store and then be turned away or discriminated against because my government said so, that it's okay to discriminate against me and my grandkids. But you see, they're going to use my grandkids as an excuse to say, well, if you don't mind being discriminated, that's fine. You can go on your merry way and live like Sierra on the streets. Well, we're going to protect the grandkids. But as we protect grandkids, we're just going to basically do what we want because they're in our program now. Okay? Went through it with Andre, right? And what did I get back? Right? I'm going through it with Amari. And what do I have to go through all the time? So, my son says, he goes, oh, well, you know, Mom, don't worry. I can feed us too. I can feed us too. And, you know, I didn't balk at it. I didn't challenge him. I said, oh, okay, well, that's great. That's really nice to know. And I appreciate that, right? But knowing what I know, just with the fact of life, it wouldn't be long before he'd be getting frustrated with it to the degree that I've fed my family over the years. See, it's a difference feeding just one, being responsible for one person, basically, right? That there's a difference between that and being responsible for a whole house full of people. And then getting left with injured grandkids as you're being picked away at, constantly being told you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough. You're not doing it the way we told you to do it. And you got it coming in from multiple fucking directions. Why, people? Why is that? Because he's been hooked into some other program. That's why. And when I look at my grandson, and I'm going to leave it on this note, and I'll just carry on with the fucking, what do you call those things? Cranberries, okay? When I look at my grandson, and he's laughing and giggling, and, you know, and corresponding with me to the best of his ability, you know, being whatever it is, right? And I just tell myself, people, you know, you're happy now, Amari. But nobody really appreciates your happiness. They really don't. Because I seen it with my own kids. I seen the way my government started treating my family and my small children in 2000, 2001, 2003. Okay? By 2003, it was fucking game over. For some people, it ain't kicking in until 2020, 2021, and 22. All right? I'm already 20 years ahead of the game here with a lot of what people are going through today. Okay? So when I see my grandson, I see him happy. I see him doing the best that he can be for himself and whatever, right? And it means nothing, people. It means nothing because the people I'm around they don't care. That's not their mission. That's the bigger fucking sense that I get from this whole process. right? They're supposed to be helpful and not make it harder on me by making me self-doubt myself because I don't particularly use a certain apparatus, even though I was never required to use it. You understand? Okay? Like this tomato chair. I got this tomato chair sitting over there that we never fucking use. Ever. Ever. He doesn't need it. He likes to sit on the couch up like a normal little boy. I brace him in. He's happy. He's happy, people. He's happy. Okay? I'm just using that as an example. Right? Like this standard. They want me to use this standard with him. I said I just haven't used it yet, people, because I put food first. I put food first. Right? I've been going hardcore with this stuff for months. Right? It's not an easy job. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to make sure that there was food in my house for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Okay? In light of what our governments are doing. In light of what our governments are doing. Not everybody is a public union and sector employee that has a guaranteed paycheck. Okay? In thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars per month. Okay? Right? Some of us live in poverty, literally poverty, and in high debt. High debt that we took on because at one point we believed in the province to only find out that the province turned around and kicked us in the fucking teeth. And not only did they kick us in the teeth, but they actually took our teeth too. Sierra didn't have teeth to take out, but ShaMay did. Okay? That's my biggest fear. That they're going to take Amari's happiness and they're going to rob him of it. Literally, rob him of it. They're going to make him fucking miserable. They're going to make him that monkey in a monkey tube so that he can grow up and what? Still be Amari? Can't sit on his own? Can't walk? Can't crawl? Can't talk? Can't. But for whatever fucking reason, they're gonna think that they made a difference? Yeah, okay. Right. He'll be miserable. More than likely in pain. But they got a solution for that. They'll just start medicating him to mask it so they can continue to sell their fucking program or whatever it is that he signed up on to their stakeholders. Okay? That's my biggest fear, people. And that the next caregiver won't give a shit. Literally. How do I protect my grandson from all that? I don't know, people. I guess the first place is don't waste the cranberries. Right? No matter how many people are around you that see absolutely no value in those cranberries. Because it kind of boils down to that, people. It's like my son. Oh, well, who cares if you can this and can that? Because if it had to come between you and me, I could still feed you every day for... How long could you feed me for, son? With the grandkids? For how long would you want to feed us for, son? How long? What? A few weeks? And then... when it gets expensive, you're like, well, Mom, I can't afford to keep feeding you and the kids. What you gonna do, Mom? Well, I don't know, son. What should I do? Well, I never even put him in that position, people. So you think that my son would give me a little more gratitude. But I won't get it. No. No. Because it's always a pissing contest with people in this world. Basically. Right? And as far as I'm concerned... You know, I don't know. I don't know what kind of bandwagon they got me on with my grandson in terms of critiquing anything and everything, basically. Right? At the end of the day, you know, I don't think that they care that he's happy. I really don't. That's not the mission. That's not the mission, people. So... I know that if I'd canned those cranberries, that will make Amari happy. Because it makes his food palatable to eat. In terms of, I have that sauce that I can mix in with his food to help him eat all his food. Where a lot of people would just put on a feeding tube, plug it in, and go about their merry business. And Amari will never know what it means again to have real food. Because their goal is not to make him happy. And there's, you know, food makes him happy because he likes, you know, what can he do? So he likes different flavors. Those sweet potatoes, gave it to him last night with some rice and chicken and a little curry sauce. Oh boy, did he ever gobble it up, people. But it's all in how you mix it up and give it to him. If you don't know how to mix it up and give it to him, he can't eat it. Right? You think that learning that and doing and discovering that took just, you know, just easy peasy? No, nothing easy peasy about looking after Amari. Especially when you know there's people around you that just wants them basically miserable. Ultimately, at the end of the day. As they purport that they're trying to, you know, stop pain. Yeah. Stop pain. Okay. I don't believe that, people. I don't believe it like a hole in the head. Nope. Nope. Too much money is involved. Too much ego. Alright. Too much profit. Too much perversion. There's a lot of perversion of what's going on. Depravity, that's the word. There's a lot of depravity. Like what happened to Sierra, straight up depravity. What happened to ShaMay, straight up in terms of after she died, straight up depravity. What I think, and I'm pretty sure what happened to Amari at the time of his birth, is depravity, okay? Because the program was set up in 2016. Amari was born in 2017, okay? And then no doctor picked up on anything. Everybody was quiet. Everything was mum until you just couldn't ignore the fact that he wasn't meeting the milestones. And then that's when people jumped on the bandwagon and started with their, well, you've got this hoop, 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 this hoop. Well, we now got basically cloned Joan Duncan on the podium within the government saying, well, if you don't make the right choice, you know, well, we're going to figure out a way to stick it to you, basically, in terms of taking your fucking medicine as if you need medicine. Okay? As if they have a right to tell you what medicine to take. Okay? And it's not even medicine. Okay? So that's my biggest fear. I don't fear death because I don't obviously, the only reason I would fear death would be because of what's going to happen to Amari. But you see, what could happen to Amari could still happen, people. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm always under attack. Okay? And just with my eyes and everything, and, you know, limited income plays a big role. Not having access to lawyers when injury and harm is caused to my family is another big factor. Okay, I'm not registering with the Christmas Bureau this year. I could. Wouldn't be a problem. I'd get maybe a $300 food voucher, which is always nice to have because then I can go and buy. But in light of what's been going on in my province, and there's so many people out there, I'm gonna leave it on this note. And with so many people out there right now throughout the whole, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been like displaced from their homes, and just they're still facing displacement, and some are still being evacuated because more rain's coming, and they've lost their gainful employment, you know, and just with all of that, I just, you know, I just don't think it's practical for me to sign up at the food, no, it was not the food bank, it's the Christmas Bureau, and, you know, try and get that little extra money for groceries, when in fact I really don't need it. I mean, I can always get more groceries. I'd be happy to have it, but it's not anything that I really need. And, you know, in terms of toys and stuff, I don't really need that. You know, it's nothing that I can't go and get on my own if we don't already have it in the house, in terms of toys or whatever, right? But definitely, I think the Christmas wish for this year and next year is to get a lawyer. Is to get a lawyer to help me put everything together and just deal with it and be done with it so that Amari can wean into private care, people. That's what, I'm not saying we can't access government health care services, right? But in light of everything, he really does deserve to have private care. And I think through private care, honestly, people, I think he would live longer and he'd be happier. That's my goal. Have him happy and live longer and mitigate pain as it materializes in terms of if it should come, then we'll deal with it, right? But I'm not in no rush to create back pain because they're trying to prevent hip pain, right? I'm not trying to overfeed him so that he can puke and get bloated and feel uncomfortable, okay? Just so that I can prove a point. Well, I'm not the one proving the point. It's somebody else that wants to prove the point, right? I'm just using those as an example of the things that I have to face with every day as I'm being told that I'm still not doing enough because they've got me with this group, this group, this group, this group, this group. And we just went through that, people. And Amari's got another appointment with the speech therapist. And then I'm going to be told that I didn't get him talking enough. That he still can't talk. Well, I wonder why he can't talk. But the thing is, he communicates. I'm feeding him. If he really likes it, and he wants more, faster, he goes, I'm like, oh, that's his way of telling me. He wants more. Give it to him now. Does he say, give me more? No, because he'll probably never be able to say that, people. Thank you to Fraser Health Authority. Andrew the Dragon, are you listening? This is what I mean by cloaked individuals. And there's a lot of them, people. For whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is. And if you really start putting a freaking finger on it, people will call you crazy. But it's pretty apparent if you stop and think about it. Right? Okay, so cranberries. Amari appreciates the cranberries. He will love those cranberries. I'm going to can them in 2 separate ways. So I can use them under 2 different circumstances. The milk, when it comes, I'm going to process the milk. 44 pounds. I have to buy a few more jars. Not a big deal. After that, I'm good to go. And then I'm going to start using the milk. And then our videos, my videos, will go into that, where I'm make my own sweet condensed milk, and now I'm making something with it, okay? As I'm still facing my fears, people, every day. No matter what I do, it never seems to be enough. Have I not been saying that? As we got a Joan Duncan, like I said, sitting up in fucking the Parliament buildings talking about that I better make the right fucking decisions here. I better. As if I live in Austria or wherever that place is where, you know, people are being told they can't go to the grocery store because all of a sudden they're leopards, okay? Is that what British Columbia, Canada is going to turn out to be yet? And then I'm not supposed to be worrying about Amari in terms of, well, he was signed up to the program, we just didn't tell you, and we just got to figure out a way to get him out of your fucking hair. That's all. And then once we get them, that's it. It's game over. It's game over, people. It's game over. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is game over. They'll put them on display like they did with Uncle John. And they will ignore everything that they did to Uncle John before they could even put him on display. In terms of the misery that they created for him when they took him across the water and he woke up and almost had a nervous breakdown. And then he just slipped away in the brain to the point where it became one big marshmallow as they tucked him away like their dirty secret, and we never seen or heard of Uncle John again. Well, Amari's facing the same precarious path. That's my fear. Because they're not interested in having happy kids. They're really not. Okay? As a collective, union, that is. Because if that was the case, families wouldn't be going through the shit that my family's been going through for the last 21 years.